right, acknowledge the real Bravado Network. Acknowledge the guests that are here today. Acknowledge those in the chat. Acknowledge those that are watching. Acknowledge those that will be watching later. Thank you. All right, y'all. Real quick.
Let me talk to you.
All right, everybody. Let me talk to you for a second. And listen, I got to be perfectly honest with you. When I actually think about the whole narrative about Black women's hair, I don't really think much about it. Other than when I see like crazy wild ass hairstyles and I just sit there and I just kind of shake my head. It's like most of our women are walking around looking like Muppet babies now, or like these cartoon caricatures. And so, and as a Black man, I've had so many conversations with Black women about like how they present themselves and why they do what they do to themselves with their hair. So I have never really given much thought to if there's an issue or a plight or anything around, especially the hair with our Black women. And let me tell you something. I got a gang of sisters. I think it's in total 9. I got a gang of them, and one would think that I would be more astute on the issues with Black women hair, but I don't. I'm a dude, and it just doesn't really come across my mind other when I see something that I don't like. Now, historically, Black men have been, and I'm being very general here because we can't really be specific all the time and individualized, but very generally, Black men, when we're thinking about our woman's hair, we think about what we prefer. And in general, Black men prefer natural hair. Although that's not what we typically get from our ladies is natural hair. And one of the biggest fights that we tend to have sometimes is the fact that we would prefer our woman to have natural hair. But our ladies come and you ask them, it's like, hey, your dude want this. Your guys want this. Why don't you give them that? And typically a lot of times the responses we get is kind of like, well, you ain't got to do it. It's hard to do. And before like synthetic hair and weaves and stuff became like a major thing, women used to get up every day and do their own hair. A lot of my sisters and my cousins that's on, and some of the ladies that's on, they remember the hot pressing comb on Saturday morning or Sunday morning before church. You remember sitting there on the floor, on the pillow, getting that hair detangled with that big comb and the little comb and the rat tails and the green or blue grease. Everybody remember that. So to sit there to say that there's not enough time, when I actually grew up watching the not enough time and watching you sit and squirm, and maybe because as a guy, we don't really go through that stuff a lot with that. So I just don't really understand why Texas or the Black women of Texas needed to pass a law for the hair. I don't really understand. But before we get there, hold on a second.
Money making is my thing, cause I'm trying to be rich, trying to put away meals.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Here comes the...
Shout out to 3D Radio for the $10 super chat. As TLA said, let me see this. TLA, 3D Radio just sent me $10. What do you think about all of these wonderful super chats, TLA?
They are amazing.
Absolutely. They are amazing. Thank you, 3D Radio, for the $10 super sticker. As the lead attorney always say, no comment, no questions, just the pure love of the game. So thank you, 3D Radio, for the $10 super sticker. And every dime we get here gets reinvested back into the platform. So thank you for the contributions. And please don't feel like you don't, like we don't need it over here. We absolutely need it over here, especially when we're trying to grow the content. So thank you very much for that. I want to bring up one of my content creators, Miss Almanize, real quick. And Miss Almanize, let me move my camera over. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Let me move this over a little bit. All right. So why is it? Let me ask this question. So before we get like into like to the crown act, because I actually got to show the video for that. As let me try to get some understanding. So when black men, when you hear, first of all, do you hear black men talk about that they prefer natural hair from their women? Do you hear that consistently?
Absolutely. That's all I hear.
Okay. So my question is then, if that's all you hear, then why do you think that we don't typically get that from our women?
Well, I think if you just boil it down, it's part of the black woman's defiance. The whole, I don't need a man, I don't really care about what you think. I'm going to do me. It's my truth, this, that, and the fourth. So,
What
I
do they
mean,
mean by it's my truth? I don't even know what that means.
I'm just saying, you know how soon as they have a narrative that they want to go with, they say it's my truth to try to get you to not, ask more questions to try to understand what they're talking about. It's basically, you remember when you were a kid and your mom would be like, saying, you'd be like, well, mom, can I do such and such and such, and they'd be like, no, and you'd be like, why? And they'd be like, because I said so. It's that type of situation.
Is that type of situation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because they don't have a legitimate answer. It's just, this is what I'm gonna do, and I don't really care what you have to say about it. So
Real quick before I'm going to bring up my sexy is strong. Real quick, shout out to YouTube channel. Give us a little bit about you and shout out to YouTube channel.
all right. Hi guys. Anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Amani78. I've really just kind of started in the YouTube game last couple of months. My channel's primarily about as we are discussing here, Black issues, particularly with Black females, and what we can do to try to change the trajectory of what we've been doing for the last 50 years and try to repair some of the damage. Also, because sometimes that can get a little heavy. I take a small break from that and I do reviews on reality TV shows. But then I take those reviews and try to relate them back to what our main agenda is, and point out, even though a lot of things that are going on are predominantly in the Black community, they actually happen in other communities. But even though it's the same, it's different. So just as we know, TV can get ratchet sometimes. Just take a peek at that to try to lighten the mood up a little bit. But definitely, as a Black woman, I'm here trying to do my part and to try to create a new community, because the community that we grew up with, back when you went to your grandma, your grandpa's house, back in the country, and pick beans and what I'm saying, collard greens, and they grew tomatoes and all of that is pretty much gone. But what we have now is totally not acceptable. So I'm here to try to do my part to try to create a new community and see if we can salvage the youth, honestly, at this point.
All right, I'll be right back with you. Okay, let me grab Terry. Hey, Terry, my sexy is strong. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Give a quick shout out to your YouTube channel, what you do over there.
So the name of my YouTube channel is My Sexy is Strong. On my channel, I cook. As TJ said earlier, I'm a personal trainer, so I tend to make meals that are a little bit on the healthier side. However, even though they may be a little bit better for you, that does not mean they are lacking in flavor or being boring. So while I cook, I also discuss hot topics and different things concerning Black folks' lives. And then recently, I just started chopping up my live videos so that the recipe is available, adding them to my website. I also talk a lot about fitness and how we can be healthy.
Okay, so my question that I start out with, harmonize with. So do you hear a lot of Black men talking specifically about that they prefer natural hair out of their lady?
Yes, I do hear Black men say they prefer natural hair, yes.
So then why don't we get it from our ladies, the natural hair?
I can't say we don't get it. I think it depends on the type of woman.
The type of woman.
I have natural hair. Mona has natural hair. I'm not sure about almond eyes. So there are women that are natural. However, there are a lot of women who wear weaves, who wear braids, who wear all type of things for whatever reason. So I really just think, because I'm around a lot of women, it really just depends on your environment. You can go to DC and most of the women are natural. You can go to Detroit, most of them weaved up. It really just kind of depends on the type of Black woman that you're getting. That's going to determine the type of hairstyle she got. It's not across the board everybody wearing inches, because I ain't never wore a 50-inch weave. So
So you say it depends on the region you are, depending on you're gonna get a natural woman or a weaved up woman.
Yeah, I went to a HBCU, and it was definitely the patterns based on where people were living, where they were from. You would see a difference in the type of hairstyles that they were rocking. A lot of girls on the West Coast, they wore their hair braids. They wore natural hair. Sometimes a lot of girls in New York were rocking braids, rocking natural hair. A lot of girls on the East Coast as well, rocking locks. Like I remember in college was the first time I've seen a lot of women wearing locks on an HBCU campus. So it really just depends on where you at. Like Mona said in the chat, facts. In Detroit, you're going to get weaved up. In Cleveland, weaved up. St. Louis, weaved up. It's just a different part of it. Really depends on where you at.
But Terry, listen, I hear you. I hear that. I promise you, I hear that. But my question is, then okay, if I take what you say at face value, then why is there the volume from the men coming out about women having natural hair? Because if I'm listening to you correctly, it seems to me that the natural hair women outnumber the weave women, but that's not what
I said. That's what you want to hear. That's not
that's
what
I
said.
I'm telling you, that's what I heard.
That's what you heard, but that's not what I said, baby. It really just depends on where you at. Like, I mean, someone says disingenuous answer. I'm sorry, but like, it just depends on what I'm seeing. Maybe I'm in the wrong place, so I don't see weaved up women 24/7. Do I see weaved up women? Absolutely, on social media every day, all day. That's where I see the most weaved up women. But
on social media?
Yes, on social media. I see weaved up women all the time, but I also follow a lot of baldy channels and I follow a lot of natural hair stuff. So it really just depends. A lot of women who wear weaves, to be honest, is for a variety of reasons. You got women who really hate their natural hair, unfortunately. That is a fact. That is a truth. You got women who wear weaves and wigs because it's easier depending on their lifestyle. I'm in fitness. I'm gonna keep it real. If it wasn't for the fact that I keep my hair short because I work out a lot. If I had a long hair and had to do my hair all the time, I probably would be lazy with my workouts because the amount of effort it takes to do your hair and working out, sweating every day.
There we go. There we go. The amount of effort.
You do it then. You a hairdresser?
See, look, Terry, I'm for to drop you down real quick because I'm gonna bring up one of my sisters, my actual sister, and she has natural hair. She ain't always had natural hair. Don't be looking at me. I'm looking at her in the background. She gives me this look. So I'll be back right with you, okay, Terry? I want to talk to my sister a little bit, all right? All right. Hey, sis.
What's up, TJ?
Are you at the you there with your mama now?
No, I'm at home. That's
you at home? Oh yeah, okay. Well, when you look, your house look like okay.
I get my style from my mama.
You get your style from your mama. So okay, sis. Now you have had so right now you're locked up. What is that called? Sister locks? What is that? What you got?
Nope.
What do you?
Either locks. I've been locked for 4.5 years.
You ain't been locking for no 4 years.
Yeah. I'll hit 5 in March.
Oh man, I ain't been. I thought maybe this happened like 6 months ago. So I don't. I don't. Why did you decide to go natural? Is this a permanent thing for you, or is this?
I don't know. Hair, it's how I feel. I got tired of weave, tired of sitting down for braids, tired of combing my hair, and I just like to try something different. So I went with locks.
But don't that weave and stuff like snatch your hairline away, like make you bald, like George Jefferson? Not
everybody.
I see a whole lot of that. When these girls need to, when they're in between hairdos and they actually got to come out with, and their hairline is far further back than mine, be like way back here. And I'm like,
mine never went back when I was doing weaves and all that. It stayed intact. It just depends on how you do your hair.
I guess. Do you care when a brother tells you that they prefer your natural hair? Oh, let me just ask you, what has been your response versus when you had to weave versus what you got now from the fellas?
I mean, everybody loved the locks, but even when I had weave and all that, I mean, it was still in braids. So just a preference of the person's, but the locks have probably had the best result from people. The size of them, the color of them, all that good stuff.
The color. Okay. I'm just trying to get a baseline for our discussion. I'll be right back with you. Okay. So I'm gonna bring on my cousin Khadijah. All right. Hey there, Khadijah.
Hey, TJ, how's it going?
Greetings from Atlanta.
Greetings from Atlanta.
Yeah. So now you we are of the same generation. I can't call you old. I'm old, but I can't call you old, but I'm old.
We are definitely of the same generation. And I feel as if it all depends on what your environment is, whether or not you like to rock the weaves, the natural hair, and things of that nature. Everything, we was always told growing up that everything always repeats itself and come back in circles. Like in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, they were rocking their natural hair. Then we went into, we all as young girls growing up in my era, we all remember the pressing comb where they was pressing our hair out, and you didn't have a problem with it because they wasn't burning the back of your neck. They wasn't burning it off your ear. They wasn't hitting you upside the back of the head with a straightening comb because you didn't be.
No, we just smelt it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It kept walking through the house.
Absolutely. You smelt them frying our hair. And it all really just depends on the actual environment as to what you get. There are now women are actually going back to they want to be more natural. Some, not all. And you have a lot of women that says, yes, sister locks happens to be a style now. Locks happens to be a style now. So
Okay,
people are going more natural.
For the uninformed brothers out here. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between like a regular lock and a sister lock? Like, I don't understand.
Sister locks happens to be like a micro lock. It's very small. And then regular locks, you have different sizes. They're not very small, but they're medium, and then they can go and get bigger. But sister locks happens to be very fine and very small in size, not in length.
Okay. All right, let me bring one of my sisters back up, okay?
Sure.
No, actually, I'm going to keep you up with her. Hold on a second. Hey, Mo.
Hello.
Hey, so I have a question, more of a question/statement kind of a thing. So I heard somebody say, and there's no empirical data on this. So I'm just going to say what he said. The brother said that marital rates, as the usage of weave went up, marital rates in black community have went down. Do you think that black men are so turned off by the weave that we decided not to marry y'all because of the weave and the fake hair?
No, I think that's an excuse.
Excuse for what?
Not to marry. If anybody uses anything that's base level, such as appearance, that's an excuse.
Well, Monet, now men are initially very visual minded when we're looking at when we're mate seeking. We're very visual. You know what I mean? So I don't know how fair that is to call it superficial, but I don't. Huh?
Looks fade.
Well, of course, we understand that. I mean, looks doesn't sustain a relationship, but that's exactly. I mean, I guess to a degree for women too. I mean, looks is important, but I don't think y'all understand just how much it drives the male species.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. I'm trying to get a little bit of an education, especially. I don't think most guys, especially black men, really pay that much attention to if there's a hair issue or not. I don't really know, but I know I don't, because I remember when I first heard about this Crown Act law, I was like, that's a thing? Like, that's really a thing? And I really didn't, and then I dismissed it in the same breath because I didn't think it was a thing. For me, my impression when I heard about the passage of the law, my initial unfiltered response was, why was that even necessary? And maybe that's and maybe that's a ignorant, uninformed way of looking at it. But I think I cannot be like the only dude out here, the only brother out here that when you hear about issues regarding Black women here, that we're very dismissive of it. Is that a fair statement, do you think?
It's your valid.
Huh?
Yeah, it's a valid statement.
Yeah. Okay. I actually got a hairdresser, so I'm gonna bring her up and talk to her for a second. Okay. All right. I'll be right back with you, Khadijah. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. When men say that they prefer natural hair, a lot of times the culture, what moves women and what women do typically depends upon what they see men like or what their impression is of what men like. And the women that you typically gravitate to or think that is fine and thinks that is sexy happens to be superficial, as we relate to having, like, a lot of men think Beyonce is the drop dead, gorgeous, beautiful thing walking alive inside of our community. Well, in order for a Black woman to get Beyonce's look, they're going to go out there and buy that 27-inch, 50-inch, whatever blonde weave and slap it on her head in order for her to be the Beyonce for you. And it also depends on what happens to be your actual music. What is the music that you're listening to? If you're listening to music, if you're listening to rap, and if that's the culture that is out there, then long weave and things of that nature, body implants, body mutilations, that's the type of women that you're going to get, because that's the environment that you're
I think the thing that I think our ladies often misrepresent is what we will lay up with and what we will keep. That those are
that's a conversation that needs to be had, because of the fact that, yes, a lot of women do not understand the difference between what you guys think is great for you guys to lay up with, and the difference between what you're willing to lay up with and the wife that you have at home. Because the wife that you have at home is one way, but the prostitute or the mistress that you got on the street is something totally different. And because of the fact that you have this wife at home and she's trying to keep you because she got 5 or 6 kids at home and she needs your income, she goes out in order to try to emulate the mistress that you have in the streets, in order to make and pretend that, in order for her to think in which that the man is going to be faithful and come home to her every night.
Okay, let me bring up the hairstylist real quick. All right, hey Flo.
Hey TJ.
So you do hair for a living, right?
Yes, I do.
So why is it that sisters are so insistent on this synthetic? I'm pretty sure you had conversations with them in the chair and stuff like that. Like, why are they doing this when they know brothers don't like it?
Well, to be honest, it's hard to pinpoint what men don't like. Just like how you got a Barbie doll. Wait, TJ. Just like how you got a Barbie doll, you got a Ken doll. You know, so we love to dress up. Looking the same every day is boring. You know, it's just boring. So for self-esteem and to make ourselves look good and feel good, we like to change up. It's just, you know, it's just something a part of not being boring. You know,
we want you to be boring.
We don't, though. Sometimes it's about how. It's about how you as the individual feel. So sorry to say, but we want to feel good.
If you trying to keep your dude, if your dude like your see, that look for him ain't boring. That's what he like.
But it's boring to us. It's about how we feel about.
So it's all about you.
No,
it's not about the collective.
No, at the same time, you got to deal with self. When you decide to look the way you look, is because that's the way you want to look, and we got to accept you for that. You're going to have to accept us for who we want to look like, because we don't want to be boring. You know, it's just we just don't want to be boring, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just fashion. You know, it's just what makes the world go round. It's just fashion.
I guess so. I'll be back with you. I'm going to get my sexiest strong in here for a minute, because I see her going off. Hold on a second. Terry, why are you over there doing the most? What's going on, Terry?
I'm not doing the most. I'm just laughing at you.
Why are you laughing at me?
Because your commentary on everybody's responses, it's It's funny.
Oh, come on now. All right, let me get into this Crown Act. So the overarching thing with the Crown Act that kind of surprised me was that I didn't know that this was a thing. So let's take a look at the Crown Act and then we'll get into that, okay? All right, let me see. Let me go right here.
Well, hair discrimination in the workplace and in school will be no more, as the Crown Act is now officially law beginning today in Texas.
6 News reporter Adriana Alexander visited a local hair salon where they had a discussion about race-based discrimination. Adriana?
Chris Lindsay, time and time again, we have seen stories across the country about employees being fired or students kicked out of school because of their hair. Well, now, thanks to this new bill, people who do this will face legal consequences. Crown.
All of our hair is different and we all want different things.
An acronym for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. This is what House Bill 567 is hoping to do in the state of Texas. State Board Education member Aisha Davis explained how long it took for the Crown Act to become law.
It was years of advocacy, talking to different groups, talking to different legislators, making sure our schools understood the possibility of not having hair discrimination.
The Crown Act prohibits race-based hair discrimination, which is the denial of employment, housing, and educational opportunities because of hair texture or protective hairstyles. The bill specifically mentions braids, twists, and locks.
It's distracting when somebody gets pulled out of class because of their hair. That is the distracting part.
Over in Killeen at Raquel's Beauty Salon, hair discrimination was a part of the discussion. And Melissa Harris and her daughter had no reluctance getting their hair done in the styles they wanted.
I don't want her to feel less of a person because, you know, she's wearing a different color or her hair is a different texture.
Everybody has to take care of their hair different. So discrimination basically just puts people in a spot where they feel like they're not good enough.
Like many others, Davis hopes this bill will enhance inclusion and understanding for the younger generations across the state and the country.
This bill is monumental in making sure that every student can be their true, authentic selves without having to worry about being disciplined for it.
Now, Texas is the 22nd state to pass the Crown Act in the United States. Guys, this is such a monumental point for people that have the hairstyles that they want to wear.
Yes, certainly is a historic day, and looks like there's a lot more states that might be considering the Crown Act too. Adriana, thanks so much.
Okay. So, okay, I just learned something. I did not know that there were 21 other states that had this law. Let's see, Terry. Did you know that?
Yes, I knew that.
See, I'm just going by. We really don't know. But hold on, let me do this. So here's what I heard. Okay. So and I'm prefacing it that way. Here's what I heard by listening to that Crown Act. That as I'm listening to it, and okay. As I'm listening to it, all I'm hearing is our women don't want to conform to the owners of the company or agency's dress policy. That's all I hear. So what am I missing? What am I missing?
First of all, you have to recognize the background of why the Crown Act was even a thing. It wasn't about somebody was mad about a dress code. They don't want to conform. A lot of it came from the school districts. School districts either suspending or sending kids home for braids and locks. There have been little boys and little girls. There was a little boy, 2 boys in Texas. I can actually drop the link in the chat. In Texas, they were suspended. They felt like they were suspended from school because of their locks. You have to read the story to get the full description. There was even a little boy that was forced to cut his locks off on the sports team. So they were making a big deal about people with braids and locks and things of that nature. And then it just started to be a nuisance. It was, again, more so in schools, not necessarily just in professional environments, but there have been situations in professional environments. I actually saw an article today about a Dallas police officer who wears braids, who was talking to the press about this Crown Act and kind of happy that it happened because I guess he was getting flack because he wore braids in his head. So that's really where it comes from. A lot of these policies literally target Black people because it's literally specifically our styles that we wear for our natural hairs, bantu knots, locks, braids, things of that nature. Our hair does not grow out of our head straight. It definitely don't lay down without a lot of manipulation. We're not talking about long weaves with 24-inch with purple and yellow and gold. We're not talking about that. We're literally talking about natural hairstyles that have been deemed not professional. Like what's unprofessional about a woman wearing braids? Like it is what it is. Now, is it somebody coming unkept and the hair all over the head and looking crazy? That's one thing. Being in an environment where you cooking, you around food, and you don't have your hair pinned up. You know, some places they don't want a lot of hair, so you either gonna have to wear your hair pinned up in a hat. You can't work there if you got a lot of hair because that can be a safety issue. Same with nails and things of that nature. But we literally talking about kids and grown people being asked to change their hair. It's not violating any laws. It's not preventing them from doing any jobs or being on a sports team. It's literally to target them because they're not conforming to the environment that they're in. And the environment that they're in is white. It's ran by white people. That's a fact.
I understand that, but it comes across. Hold on a second. Let me bring Khadijah up here. Let me see. I gotta figure out this. Yeah. So it comes across a little bit to me that there's this epidemic that a lot of us are just like sleeping through. Like there's this epidemic of hair discrimination and people not getting jobs or being fired from jobs or kicked out. It for me, and maybe I'm just playing the role of devil's advocate. It seems a little bit of like this is selective issues that we're making an issue. And for me, to a degree, I'm thinking we got bigger fights to fight than me trying to get a law about this. How does this law help us? Khadijah?
So, go ahead.
Hold on.
Well, how does it help you? Well, if you happen to be, we're talking about Texas, if you happens to be a student and you have gone to school from K through the 12th grade and you're a great student, you have all the requirements in order to graduate, you have never been in trouble, and then the school board tells you that just because of the fact that you happen to have dreadlocks, that you cannot participate in prom and you cannot participate in graduation. You cannot walk down the aisle with your friends. You cannot walk down the aisle with your class because your hair is inappropriate. Can you explain to me how do one digest that? And so that is definitely a problem. And that wasn't a woman's issue. That was a young Black man's issue, male's issue. So that's one thing. And Texas has 684,000 Black students, and they are giving ISS in school suspension out like candy. They said that last year, there was 195,000 Black students that was in school suspension because of the fact that their hair violated the school policy in Texas.
See, I'm not trying to be like the asshole, but I'm thinking about like I'm sitting here thinking about our collective joint issues that are more pressing, and we put a lot of energy into this. And for me, I'm going to repeat this. It just seems like that we took a couple isolated incidences with things with hair, and we decided to go. It seemed to me to be like this issue was like low-hanging fruit, and it seemed like it was something easy for the legislators to give us to shut us up when there's actually bigger issues.
Well,
So-
it's not a situation of one thing. It's a situation of we got to attack it all. You know, we have so many vast problems, or I should not say problems, but so many vast issues inside of our community in which that we're dealing with. We can't just say that, hey, we're going to put this particular issue on the back burner and we're going to deal with everything else. So it might be low-hanging fruit, but hey, if this low-hanging fruit is something that we can get accomplished because of the hype that is going on, then we need to attack that, get that accomplished, move that to the side so we have have enough energy to attack something else. So that issue is no longer available. That issue has been taken care of. Now we can go out and tackle something else because that has been dealt with.